Hejhej! I recently saw a celebrity, which got me thinking. Have we ever talked about the Elder Futhark runestones specifically before? Well, it doesn't really matter, because even if we have, we're gonna talk about it again. We shall also go over a little bit about the Elder Futhark specifically. Like a little overview if this is your first video. Hello, hey, I'm the Moose Lady. Sometimes I go by Elin as well. For whatever reason, the Elder Futhark is the most commonly used when people ask me about getting tattoos done in Old Norse. And I answer as I always do, it's your body, you tattoo whatever you see fit. But translating the Elder Futhark correctly from a modern Anglo-Saxon type of language and applying this Futhark that was mainly used for northern dialects of Proto-Germanic languages, I mean, it's pretty hard. You're taking water above your head right now. It sure is a feat. And if you're not like that into language research, just you do you. But just know about it, that it usually doesn't fit, really, with modern languages. And that is also the second point that I always have to point out. The Elder Futhark was, mainly used before the later part of the Iron Age, which would then include the Viking Age. So Elder Futhark is like, year zero minus plus a couple of 100 years. So that was the disclaimer. When talking about Elder Futhark runestones, there are some exciting news on that front. I'm of course talking about the Svingerude runestone from Norway that was discovered in 2021. Every now and again, scientists run into these amazing finds that will knock over everything that we already know about the topic. So very summarized, archaeologists were digging at a grave field found in Svingerude by the Tyrifjord. And in one of these graves that they conducted excavation of, they found burnt charcoal as well as stones, carved stones, or a stone. The Svingerude stone. Since we have something called C14, a method where you can figure out how old something is approximately. So through the C14 method, the archaeologist could then detect that the bones in the grave, as well as the charcoal, they were contemporary, and the runestone was found like together with these things, in the same area. Which would mean that stone happened upon there when the person and the burnt charcoal also were put there. And what they came up with was from the year 0 to around 250 CE, so 250 AD. Which means that this is the oldest runestone found ever in existence of human history so far. It is around 2,000 years old. That's crazy. And because it's so old, we have no idea about the specific language that they have talked during that time, which makes it a bit, hard to translate. But that doesn't mean that the archaeologists and runologists and linguists in Norway have given up, because they have come up with a translation, and it would be Idi Berug. This is speculated to be a woman's name or maybe even a family name. And there's also a very quirky B rune on this carving. It goes like over there. Why this is such a big deal is because before this stone was discovered, earlier research suggested that the runestones had started being erected around the 300s to 400s CE in Scandinavia, which, a couple of 100 years off now. It will be very exciting to see what comes of this runestone in the future. In Scandinavia today, we have around 273. I know that sounds like a very specific number, but notice that around 273 carvings of Elder Futhark runes. In the Elder Futhark, which is the oldest runic alphabet, there are 24 runes in total, and those runes looked like this. Most inscriptions that are old enough to be carved with Elder Futhark are found mainly on weapons and jewelry. In Sweden, which is the country with the most runestones in the world raised, we have around 20 of these runestones are carved with Elder Futhark runes. So not a whole lot. A fun fact for you is that Elder Futhark is usually not read the same as the younger Futhark, which is from the later part of the Iron Age. They are not read completely the same, because the elder Futhark runes are usually read mirrored. So you read them from right to left and not left to right, which you would usually do if they are carved like this. And if you read general runestone raised during the Viking Age, you usually start somewhere in the middle or down here, and you work your way up from the bottom and up, and this, you know, and this, and this, and this. But on a elder Futhark carved rune stone, you go from up to down, and up to down, usually. There are some cool examples of elder Futhark rune stones found in Norway. They also have around 20 rune stones with elder Futhark. One of these is the Hogeneg stone. The Hogeneg runestone is an older runestone that dates around the migration period. Migration period is usually between 350 to the year 500 CE. And it was quite recently found. It was found in 2009 in Norway, in Hogeneg, of course. And in this example, the Hogeneg runestone with the elder Futhark runes, here you see that you read it from right, again, to left, and not left to right or down to up. It's right to left, mirrored. And it has 62 runes in total, which is very many runes to be of the elder Futhark found on any stone. In fact, it is one of the longest text we have in elder Futhark on stone. And again, the language is very, very old. We are not completely certain on what's going on, but I will read you a translation of this runic text. It is very hard to understand, but it says something that has been translated into this. Kelba Thevar's memorial stone. Then we have something that is read as a magical sequence of runes. If you wonder more about magic and runes and sequences, look no further than my Learn the Runes series here on YouTube, because I actually have a full episode talking about magic and runes together. From inside the wheel hub, or from inside the house corner. And then it's just like, in the translation, a bunch of question marks. And then it ends on, I am naudigastir, I am erfar. So what does this whole thing mean? Well, it's speculated who the memorial is for, Kelba Thevar, that might mean calf servant, like calf, like, you know, baby cow, which would, you know, a baby cow is small, so maybe this has to do with a younger type of servant or a younger type of warrior that this memorial is for. Naudigastir has been kind of speculated to mean needs guest, like I am the needs guest, I am erfar, I am the Wolverine, is what they think it says. Again, this is very, very old, and we are just trying to understand something about it. And of course, from Norway, we have to talk about the Eggja stone, which we actually talked about a while back in the Hejhej video. In 1917, someone who was plowing a field discovered it, and underneath it, they found a grave. The thing is that the writing, like the carving, was actually facing inwards towards the grave, so no one saw that it was a runestone. You know what I said about that the Hogeneg runestone is one of the longer carvings with elder Futhark? Well, the Eggja runestone has around 200 runes, so that is the longest one. The inscription is likely a poem that is supposed to protect the grave. But as with all elder Futhark, it is hard to understand what is going on. There's also a carving of a horse in the middle of all of these runes, which is very, very beautiful. The runes tell us something like this. The wild sea god Ægir threw up great waves with deadliness, tearing apart the ropes at the top of the tired mast. Who was it that came, and then there's a little jump, to the land of people? Fish swam out of the dangerous current, and storm winds roared with full force in the snowstorm. The carved stone is not to be harmed by sun or sword. No one should uncover it, and deceitful men must not dishonor it. I mean, that's quite a good translation, I would say. They've done a very good job with translating this one. It sounds badass. So, before 2021, when the Hogenvik runestone was found, the oldest example of Elder Futhark runes came from Denmark. They were found on a small comb called the Vimose comb. That comb is dated to around 160 CE or /AD. So, why am I bringing up our dear neighbor Denmark without mentioning a raised runestone with Elder Futhark? I am talking about a comb instead. Well, there is no runestones with Elder Futhark found in Denmark. This comb was very important in understanding how early on people actually used Elder Futhark in order to communicate with each other. Runes on this comb has been translated to say harja. This could refer to the comb's owner. It was very, very common in ancient Scandinavia that tools and weapons and so on actually spells out that this is this. On tools it can say, I belong to Torbjörn, this sword belongs to Torbjörn, my master is Torbjörn, and so on and so forth. Harja has also been theorized to mean warrior, and the word harja has also been found on a Swedish runestone with Elder Futhark. This runestone is called Skåängstenen or Sö 32, and it has a combination of younger Futhark and Elder Futhark, like bam in the middle, and there it says harja as well. And this stone is from the 500s CE sometime. It is rather strange that no runestones show up in Denmark in Elder Futhark, because outside of runestones there is a very strong tradition of Elder Futhark found on other types of artifacts. Maybe, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe it has something to do with Harald Bluetooth and his whole, Christianization. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not, I'm not painting Harald in any bad light. I'm not accusing him of anything, but I'm just saying. Another very interesting thing that pops up when you are looking at Elder Futhark runestones, or Elder Futhark in general, is Erilas. Erilas has been everywhere. Erilas has been all the way to Norway and made the runestone Hejhej I, the Eril Rosas, son of Rosas, worked up this stone for Eilifo. And then Erilas also went on and made the Norwegian runestone Hejhej as well. I, Vagigas the Eril, son of Agilamundo. Yeah, and yet again, he went on his merry way and also made stone Hejhej I, the Eril Vivila. And he went on with Hejhej I, Hagustaldas, the young warrior, the retainer of Gudagas, I, the Eril. And then Eril moved a little bit to the right and went to Sweden, and went straight to runestone VR1 in Värmlands county, Sweden. I am talking to you right now from a very blowy and sunny Värmland in Sweden, and I'm by one of the 2 runestones in Värmland that contains Elder Futhark. This specific stone is very mysterious and very cool because it has a very clear, still very unclear message carved upon it. Lubas am I called. Rafn am I called. I, the Erilas, carved the runes. That's pretty pompous. What is extra interesting is that Rafn is also an older way of saying raven. So I wonder what the Erilas meant by all of these runes. Eril also went to Strängnäs in Sweden, where it says on runestone fragment Sö Fv2011:307. I know archaeology and its romantic names. I know. The Eril Vodins. And there are so many examples. I've just taken, a handful of runestone fragments and runestones here. Who is Eril? Who is this mysterious Eril? Erilas or Eril has a couple of different theories surrounding it. because it seems to be a title. It is probably not a singular name. Eril has been interpreted as sorcerer as well as rune master. Maybe they are not separate things in ancient Scandinavia either. The word, however, is etymologically related to the Germanic tribal name Heruli. And why I mention this is because the word Eril, as well as the word Herul, which comes from this, the Germanic tribe, both have the same root for the word that has turned into jarl, which is then earl. So Eril might have also been, a type of militaristic title. Other suggestions when it comes to Erilas or Eril is actually the Proto-Germanic harjas. Remember harja? Harjas, which would then be army, which would then be like, harjelas, which would then be warrior. Person belonging to the army, which would usually be a warrior. Why is all of this so confusing, and why are all of these rune carvings so hard to understand, and why are they so mysterious? Well, it has to do with the pure understanding of language. You see, even in the Viking Age, which is like, almost medieval ages, there was not really a tradition in Scandinavia, I'm talking now. Continental Europe and other places, they were well, early with writing. But in Scandinavia, we were not. We were still carving upon small wooden sticks, and we were, carving onto stones and so on, which means that language naturally would have been very, very local. I'm not saying that no one understood each other in Scandinavia. Obviously they did, and obviously there are so much resemblance, like all over Norway, Denmark, Sweden, even, all the way over in England. So there is understanding, like people understood each other, right? But things can still be very local, like how you carve a word is very local, and different names and so on. And this is in the Viking Age where, like, we kind of have somewhat of a grasp on the year 0 or the year 500 or even before that. It is very hard to understand what's going on in Scandinavia in terms of language, even though we have found a bunch of artifacts and weapons and fragments of clothes and leather and armies and all of that stuff. The language, that's hard. And part of this is also due to that the language changed drastically in Scandinavia around the year 700, so just before the Viking Age. And that is where we get the younger Futhark, right, with so much less runes. So a lot of these sounds, they change during 700 CE. And it's very hard for us to grasp what came before that. It is a disconnect somewhere there. In lack of better terms, a lot of things are lost in translation. The runologists, the historians, the historical linguists, they have already done such a good job. So I am very hopeful with new technology and new understanding and new science that we are onto them. We are onto what they actually want to say. But yeah, that's my little mini episode about the Elder Futhark runestones around Scandinavia. I hope you learned something. Hej då!